Right, welcome to Fountains Abbey and Studley Royal. We're here. There's lots of ruined abbeys around England, and in researching this trip, this one it just looked very magnificent. So we're going off to see it. But as we've come in, wait, I'm going to show you the map. This looks like a considerable site, and well, that's the abbey, and then we literally have all of that to explore as well. We're not really sure how much we're going to do because surely a day is not enough, and we have plans to go walking on the Yorkshire Dales as well. But and then we're just going to start exploring, and we're heading off to the abbey, and I'll show you that. Swiftly marching ourselves down the path, we were distracted by coming across a bird hide and spent an enjoyable time there watching the birds and squirrels feed. But eventually, we tore ourselves away and headed onwards, glimpsing our first sight of the magnificent abbey as we crossed through a sheep and goat field. Have you ever wondered what would happen when monks disagree with each other? Well, back in 1132, 13 monks based at St Mary's Abbey in York were so upset with their fellow monks that they decided to leave. They would live a simpler, quieter life. Fortunately for them, the Archbishop of York knew of just the place for them 30 miles away. He gifted them land in the valley of the River Skell, and the 13 monks settled in this beautiful location. The following year, in 1132, they reached out to Clairvaux Abbey in Burgundy, requesting to become affiliated with the more austere Cistercian order and asking for guidance and support. Geoffrey of Ainey was sent to Yorkshire to teach this new community on all matters relating to Cistercian life. This included the clothes the monks wore, the food that was served, and even the design of their buildings. However, life was very difficult in this remote part of Yorkshire. The country was in the grip of famine, and for 2 years the monks struggled to feed their expanding group, as well as the many needy people who came to them for help. For food, they plucked the leaves of a nearby elm tree and various herbs to make pottage. They had left York for a more austere life and now struggled for their survival. But their fortunes changed when the former Dean of York Minster, Hugh, joined the abbey, bringing with him considerable wealth. 2 more wealthy recruits arrived soon after, and the future of the community seemed assured. The funds were split 3 ways: 1 part for building work, 1 part for the monks' requirements, and 1 part for the care of the poor. Over time, the abbey came to own vast areas of land in the region and pulled in significant income through trading of wool and lead. Despite founding Fountains Abbey to live a quieter, more secluded life, the abbey became very involved in broader church affairs when William FitzHerbert was appointed the Archbishop of York. And in 1146, an angry mob of FitzHerbert's supporters stormed the abbey, looking to kill Murdoch. Despite rampaging through the property and burning several buildings and the partially built abbey, they were unable to locate him and eventually left. This is quite the miracle, as it was reported that Murdoch was supposedly in the abbey praying before the altar the entire time. However, after the fire, the monks simply got back to work, with the abbey being repaired and rebuilt and constructed an even more beautiful and impressive building. The 400-year history of Fountains Abbey saw its fortunes rise and wane. They faced war, famine, financial mismanagement, taxation, and disease, including the Black Death plague that ravaged England in 1348 and 49. But despite these obstacles, the abbey continually bounced back to regain its prominence. However, in the early 1530s, the winds of change were blowing far beyond the Abbey. King Henry VIII was desperate for a male heir and petitioned the Roman Catholic Church for a divorce from his wife of over 20 years, Catherine of Aragon. When the divorce was refused, Henry VIII ultimately split from the Catholic Church and established the Church of England. Now refusing to recognise the authority of the Pope, Henry VIII set about the dissolution of the monasteries across England. Land and treasures were confiscated, and the funds went to the Crown to fund his military campaigns and increase the Crown's income. Fountains Abbey was ultimately sold, and to ensure that the monks never returned, the buildings were dismantled, including having the roofs torn off. Exploring Fountains Abbey today feels like going on a treasure hunt or being an archaeologist on a dig. The outlines of many of the buildings remain to this day, and with map in hand, you can trace the location of the various buildings such as the Abbot's House, the Undercroft, the Solarium, and the Infirmary. Right, so this is the monument room, or monument, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and it's where they used to store documents and seed, so important things, and there was a fireplace downstairs, so we keep this room warm and dry. And we've gone downstairs and now we're in the warming room, which is the one below the monument room. And then behind me, if I go this way, that's the fireplace, so you can see, scale to me, it's pretty large. So this is the downstairs room, still pretty intact. This room doesn't have a name or a purpose, which maybe just means that they don't know what it was, so they didn't name it. So it's the mystery room, but it's in between the kitchen, which is now it's in between the refectory on my left and then the solarium, which is that cool thing with all the arches. I'll show you that next, I think, on the right. What do you think this space is? We should come up with a name for it for sure. Based on zero expert knowledge, we've decided this might have been the kitchen because it was next to the dining hall where they ate, the refectory, and it's right near the river, so they totally could have gotten water to cook and wash things with. If I turn this around, look, river. Okay, and this is that solarium where they cooked food. No, this is the solarium where they presumably stored food. So 100% makes sense that the room in between the cellar and the dining room is the kitchen. We're calling it now. And now we're in the East Guest House. So there are a few guest houses here where you could stay. And then there was the bridge that we just crossed. And you could do that and kind of go around the Abbey and go straight to the infirmary, because if you're a lady, you weren't allowed inside the Abbey. And then, I don't know, like if you weren't like one of the monks or the lay persons that worked here, how much access you had to it either anyway. So yeah, they had a couple of guest houses. This is one of them. Right, we've just finished exploring the Abbey, which we were confident wasn't going to take us very long. So we've been here for over 2 hours. So we've done one tiny corner of the big map that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And now we have to decide what we're doing next. We decided it was well and truly time for lunch and headed down to a cafe looking out over the water. Studley Royal Park was originally a separate estate next to Fountains Abbey, and in 1767 the two estates were combined when the Aislabie family purchased Fountains Abbey. Multiple generations of the Aislabie family devoted themselves to landscaping an incredible garden that incorporated the River Skell. The sizable grounds and meandering paths with stunning views are a wonderful place to explore. The site is now part of the National Trust, with Studley Royal and Fountains Abbey being declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. On our way back, we decided to stop at Fountains Hall, which had caught our attention on the map, and visited an old Jacobean/Elizabethan house that is on the grounds. It is built with some of the stone that was reclaimed from the destroyed Fountains Abbey. While we couldn't see much of the house, it looked like they were working on an exhibition that was going to be open to the public soon. And we also heard that you can possibly stay in the house. There's a couple of places for rent. So if you're ever in the area, I would 100% check this out as somewhere that you could base yourself. So I'd call this a bit of a bonus extra. We're in Fountains Hall, which I didn't even know was on the property, and it's an old Jacobean house. Now, it seems a lot of it is either under restoration or needs to be restored, so you can only walk into 4 rooms on the ground floor. But I'm in a little sitting room here, and then next door is another room which apparently the Queen Mother stayed in when she came here and visited, so go and check that out next. Right, well, we're here at Brimham Rocks because it's only located about 15 minutes away from Fountains Abbey, and it's in the Yorkshire, was it Dales? Yorkshire Dales. So we kind of thought we shouldn't miss up the opportunity to see some of the famous countryside. So we're going to walk down this path and hopefully see some very cool rock formations. Brimham Rocks was a lovely way to finish off our day. We had quite a lot of fun walking along the paths and trying to figure out which rock formation belonged with which name. There were things like the Blacksmith's Anvil, Cannon Rocks, the Eagle, flower pot, rocking stones, the dancing bear. I'm not sure how successful we were at identifying them, but we certainly entertained ourselves trying to match up the rocks with the correct name. There's a jackdaw. Oh yeah, that might be the beak. Obviously, I don't know how you can't see this. It looks more like an eagle from around here. A few of these rocks don't have names, so we're coming in to help the National Trust. And okay, this one behind me, we're going to call that the potato bake. And then this one here with the kind of the trees and the terraces, Hanging Gardens of Babylon. There you go, National Trust. Visiting Fountains Abbey was an opportunity to explore more of England's history from a different point of view. The sizable ruins still give a sense of grandeur that visitors must have felt when they visited the Abbey in its prime. But despite its magnificence, when the tides of history turned, the Abbey was destroyed and only echoes of the past remain today.